Hello, 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 everyone. I'm Jack Bigadoo. I'm also known as the Hood Sommelier. We are here again today. This is day 18 of our 30 days of Irish whiskey. Day 18 of our 30 days of Irish whiskey. What are we talking about? We are talking about one of the most mysterious, I would say, spirits out there that I've tried 3 years ago. 3 years ago, while I was doing my first edition of 30 Days of Irish Whiskey, randomly I got a message and somebody said, "What's your address? I need to send you something." And I say, "Okay." And they say, "You need to try this whiskey." Coming to find out, it's one of those whiskey that I really, really, really fell in love with. Not just because of the whiskey itself, but the story I Googled and heard about, but because of this mysterious castle that I'm hoping the next few years I get to visit myself, stay at, and really tell more deeper of the story. But the more you dig in, you find out that this is not just a brand. There are people behind this brand. There are faces behind this brand. There's deep history behind this brand. So uh, I'm talking about none other than Kinnitty Castle Spirits. But I brought the man, the myth, the legend, the U.S. veteran himself that is behind the brand to come and tell us a little bit about the brand. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Bryan Bean. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jack, thanks a lot for having me. And first, thanks for what you do for all of us whiskey brands, and especially the Irish whiskey in the month of March. And I challenge your scheduling that you have me on the day after St. Patrick's Day when you wouldn't be standing erect, you know?
So the funniest thing is I had a lost Irish whiskey last Friday,
Yeah, I
and he
can't wait.
asked me who was coming on Monday, and I said you, and he said after Monday. I say after do you have someone after St. Patty's? I say yes. He said that person's gonna be hurting, and I think they can handle it.
Yeah,
I think they can handle it. So thank you for being here. I'm telling you, your whiskey for me came more as a honestly more as a discovery, a moment of discovery because I never heard of the brand, and for some odd reason, it was something that I was like, seriously, somebody sent me an email, asked for my address, sent me the whiskey 3 years ago. I've tried it. I'm like, what the heck is this? Well, I never heard of this whiskey. Why is it possible that there's whiskey so good? And one of the things I do every time I will try a whiskey that is good is every time I do my private tasting, I'll take the whiskey and say, hey, this is an Irish whiskey, you know, that you never heard of. I hope you actually try it, and hopefully we get to actually, experience something new. And I've only heard good things. I think the last time we finished the bottle of the 10 year, I was in with my friend Will with his private group in Indiana. And when we opened that bottle, everyone with a cigar, with
listen,
meat,
yeah.
everyone just loved it. So thank you so much for all you do yourself in the whiskey industry, bringing something new, something different. For the people who don't know you, who is Bryan Bean, and what do you do?
Well,
Yeah,
I have anyone from America who owns a castle in Ireland. It's obviously a long and twisted story that gets you there. So I'm a 20-year Army veteran. Um, I
thank you for your
retired out of,
service.
oh, it's been my privilege. I retired out of Special Operations Command down here in Tampa, Florida. So Cigar City. So I'm used to pairing cigars with pretty much everything we do. I think St. Patrick's Day was a 3 cigar day for me. Um, so I spent 20 years in the Army. I was in a unit that many people have heard of, the 160th. Most people don't know it by name, but it's the helicopter unit featured in the movie Black Hawk Down. Uh,
Yep.
so the pub that we hung out in all the time in Tampa, Florida, Four Green Fields, one of the best Irish pubs in America, a very traditional Irish pub, and it was a hangout for the military and first responders and the type. So that was my first, sort of step down this crooked path. Um, from there, we found out that Kinnitty Castle was coming up for auction in Ireland. We put together an absolutely ridiculous business plan. That's a whole nother story. But at some point, we won, and then we're like, now what? We own a castle in Ireland. So uh, it's a it was built in 1209. It existed in many capacities. It was a monastery, a convent. They did make whiskey there a long time ago. Um, and then it was a forestry department dorm for Ireland. And before we bought it, it had been converted into a 4-star 37 bedroom hotel where we can do weddings up to 200, 250 people. A very romantic place nestled in 70 acres of Irish pasture and farmlands, and then in turn surrounded by what we would know as a national park. Um, uh,
I will show the people what
there
that
you go.
looks like.
Beautiful building
Just
in the
beautiful, beautiful building
in
here.
the foothills of the Slieve Bloom Mountains. It's reputed to be one of the most haunted castles in Ireland. There's plenty of TV shows about, ghost hunters coming to visit the castle. So because of that, we came up with a tagline for the bar, one of the bars in the castle, and now in turn for the whiskey, that we've been serving spirits since 1209. Since it's been haunted since 1209, apparently. So once we had once you have a pub and a castle, you kind of have to figure what's next. And we knew right away we wanted to either do microbreweries, which were just starting out in Ireland at the time, or I was more passionate about whiskey than my principal partner, who is also an Army veteran, by the way. And so we went on a search of different distilleries and who could help us source the whiskey and would we build a distillery, all those things. And as you know, we were fortunate to stumble upon John Teeling, who for most of your audience will know is the godfather of the Irish whiskey Renaissance.
Yep.
John liked us immediately, I think. Thought it was kind of crazy that we, a couple of veterans owned this castle in Ireland, and he helped us on our journey to bring the whiskey to fruition. And we'll talk, I'm sure, about the process. But we began it literally New Year's Eve 2019, after we had our first tasting and meeting at John's place up there at Great Northern Distillery in Dundalk. What do you think happened? COVID happened.
Yep.
And so we had to go finish our taste profiles and dial all that in through the mail, frankly, which was again another weird story on how veterans can own a castle and a distillery. And then since then, the reason you haven't heard of us, like a lot of things, when you enter an industry that you don't know much about, we have a great product. We're learning a pretty steep learning curve on distribution, but we've overcome it. I think now we're really gaining some momentum, especially here in our home state of Florida. We'll talk distribution in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
We also retooled the partnership. We really wanted to have a lot of. We wanted to work with people we trust, and we wanted this whiskey enterprise to be a way that we could give back to veterans and stay focused on veterans. So one of my partners is a former Army Ranger who was in Somalia. Another one was another helicopter pilot that was in Somalia, a former Navy SEAL who's also a retired police officer. So we bring in a really A team of top performers and veterans to this Irish cause. And it's not shocking that it's an Irish veteran-centric organization. There's a reason they're called Fighting Irish.
Mm-hmm.
The Irish American and Irish history of veteran service is probably unmatched by any other ethnic group in America. And we're very proud of that. And we hope to bring that out as part of our story as it gets better told.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's probably the most thorough, introduction and description as I've gotten. So since we know about it, you buy this castle. Obviously now you're in hospitality as a whole in Ireland, and you like whiskey. You found the best to have the best resume in the business to actually do this whiskey for you. So how did you come up with your expression? I think I'm gonna start with the principal expression. I'm gonna pour that this is your 10-year,
Yep. Okay.
10-year Irish whiskey, triple distill, gently aged. That's a big one to hear, is gently aged. And or should I say the one I fell in love with is what I'm gonna start. Is the 10.
As do many. Well, let me tell you about that, Jack, while you're pouring it. And again, we worked with John and his master distiller and master blenders at Great Northern. we kind of dialed in some stalking horses, if you will, of whiskeys we liked. Um, and some of those are the ones everybody likes, right?
Yeah.
And when we did it, there was probably, heck, the first year we went to Whiskey Live in Dublin, I think there were 17 different labels. Last year there were 46. So it's a growing sector, and we were kind of not at the beginning of it, obviously, but pretty much at the beginning of the wave. So we were able to pick a taste palette. John and his folks asked what we liked. We described some other whiskeys we liked, but we also said that we were bourbon drinkers, and we wanted to at least have an homage to bourbon in there. We didn't want to lose that, and I think they certainly captured that. So, Redbreast 12 was a stalking horse for us. It's a
Okay.
great whiskey, and we wanted to, as John says, parachute in to an aged whiskey, which he allowed us to do by starting with the 10-year-old. And
Which is also a point for me because that wasn't my original question when it came to. I'm like, how does one start immediately and start with a 10-year-old? You were not shy at all.
well, we weren't, because we knew that we believed anyway that the market was going to be very crowded with entry level whiskeys, and we would build our brand family to include that. But we wanted to be up in the premier area, better whiskeys that I tell the story of age demographics a lot, but you hit a certain point in your age when it's not your dad beer. You're going to have a craft beer. You want a
Correct.
whiskey you want. And so we made the commitment to jump in as old as we could at the
Correct.
price point that we could. And the 10-year-old was a perfect spot. As you,
I mean,
uh,
is the perfect spot on I think is a perfect mix of the traditional and the new. Your price point is actually very, very, very smart. I'm gonna display here. Uh, this expression has won 92. Nah, that is impressive. Immediately to have this expression won at 92 at the IWSC 10 year. Um, is it was it fully maturing sherry or was the ex bourbon cask
no,
condensed?
it starts in, great question. It starts, as most, again, you have a very informed audience. Uh, but I always remind people, if there's an age statement on the bottle, that's the youngest whiskey in the bottle.
Correct.
So it starts, the majority of the whiskey is aged for 9 years in a former bourbon cask. And then for the 10th year, it goes into that sherry cask that you talked about, an Oloroso sherry cask, and stays for mixed with some older whiskeys as well, and
Yeah.
finishes its last year there, guaranteeing the youngest whiskey is 10 years old.
On the nose, there is a certain that was actually like it's like just nosing it remind me of like an old faithful friendship, as I
Wow.
recognize in your friend like, hey, was Roger here? Almost like who it is. There is this bouquet of beautiful um, plums and like heavy on the that sherry cask influence or some fig, some chocolate that comes immediately on the nose when you get to it. You have that maturity coming through the nose, some bread, some what do you call it, some uh yeah, gingerbread that is coming on the nose there. So that sweet, savory, chocolatey comes directly on the nose. Obviously, an amazing, beautiful color already as you go through it. And 43% ABV. Kind of, I'm glad you didn't stay at the low end. You didn't play it safe. Like I say, you guys weren't scared at all. You just went for it. At 43, I think it works well in the cocktail and obviously as a standard expression. But enough talking about it. I want to taste it again.
We taste it, yeah. And look,
Cheers.
we weren't scared. There's nothing about my background that would tell you I'm scared to be an entrepreneur. If you're going to jump out and buy a castle and then start whiskey, it's not going to be moonshine. It's going to be something drinkable and enjoyable. Um, we like to say, as you're finishing that we want to be both authentic and approachable. So I think all the tastes you just described speaks to the authenticity of the whiskey. It's a real castle you can go visit. You can have that whiskey in that castle while you're reading a book in the library bar. And there's not a lot of that in Ireland. and then approachable. We didn't want a whiskey that the average guy couldn't enjoy as a regular, as you said, an old friend. If not his daily, his weekly whiskey at a price point he could approach.
$59 on the market, very well priced. 10 years old, you get those gingerbread coming in the sweet, that sweet caramel, like that's fresh caramel right on the front palate. Chocolate cocoa, like cocoa powder that comes through there, and just nice in the middle there you get those nice wood and sherry tannin coming, and the back finish with that slight ginger and a little bit of spice, black pepper spice on the finish there. Keeps you entertained, solid expression. I mean, if somebody say, give me a good Irish whiskey, right? It didn't say amazing. They say, just give me a solid bottle. There you go. Under $60. And that's what usually people ask. What can I find, around this budget? And I tell you what, that's what made me want this year. I said, no matter what, I need to have you on, because when I tasted the whiskey, I said, who in the heck came up with this? Who did this? All right. And I feel like a lot more brands should learn from you. It shows the quality of sherry you're using for your maturation. It shows the quality of whiskey you actually source it. So those two things combined in a nice blending bring that perfection. This is a conversational whiskey, but most of all, this is a whiskey I want to sit on a patio now and light up a cigar, and just have this with my cigar. It has those nice fig note that you can only pick up maybe in some cognac or some just dark cocoa note that we want. So congratulations if
Well,
you
thank you
guys.
very much, Jack. That's
This is
great.
solid.
As you can imagine, being Tampa based, we do pair up with some cigar manufacturers every now and again, and we've been featured in a few of the journal magazines for pairings, fairly recently with the Rocky Patel. But I haven't found a bad cigar with this whiskey.
No, I would tell you right now, I'm quite impressed. I'm glad you. I know it's gonna sound weird when I say this, but I'm glad you didn't try to create a fictitious and over interesting story about this whiskey, right? I'm a veteran, love Ireland, own a castle, love whiskey, found the best whiskey I could find in Ireland, matured it, blended, wanted the people that can enjoy what I enjoy in the environment I'm in to actually have something that is well priced for the highest quality they can have it for. It doesn't get any more entrepreneurial and more American in the
Thank you.
Irish
Thank
way,
you.
more
Yeah.
American story than that. So I applaud you. I applaud you for really taking that step forward. So I think 2 years ago, it was the only expression that was there was this one I saw on the market. But it seemed like there has been progression since then.
Yeah, we
And
have
you guys came up with more expressions.
we have two more whiskeys, and we have a gin as well.
Hmm.
Um, so the next one that I believe you have
Yeah.
is the Dapper blend.
Um,
Um,
no, no. I actually never tried the Dapper blend.
oh my goodness, I forgot which I sent you
I've
then.
never tried the Dapper
Um,
blend. Actually, the 10 was the one I had, and I
ah,
bought another one of the 10. And when
okay.
I tell you this is a party winner, is I've never had anybody try Kinnitty and when, oh, I want another pour. Like
Yeah.
it goes so fast. Most time I have to leave the bottle when I use it. So yeah.
Okay. Well, let me talk very quickly about our Dapper blend because those two first were the first two expressions we came out with at
And
once.
this is
There
their
it
Dapper
is.
blend. Yeah, there we go.
Now, this sort of deviates from your compliment about how straightforward we were and not fictitious. We did create this Dapper logo with the skeleton because of the haunted nature of the castle. And
Okay.
if you believe in those things, then you would probably find a ghost. And if you don't, we'll send one around to convince you, kind of thing. Um, but when we talked to Mr. Teeling and his distillers and blenders, and he had this premise that at first we didn't think was held water. But he said, look, if you want to reach that crowd, that millennial crowd that's going from give me a Jamie and ginger, which again is nothing wrong with that. We
Correct.
all exist because of the doors of Jameson's whiskey is knocked
Correct.
down. But as you mature and you want to try something different, what do the people of your generation and a little younger like? They like to be a new discoverer.
Correct.
They like to be a first adapter of things. They like the cool stuff, this kind of hip
Hence,
skeleton guy.
Mr. Dapper here.
Mr. Dapper there. Yeah, I'm wearing my Stay Dapper shirt, which got a lot of good compliments, my green one on St. Patrick's Day. But his premise was, I have younger distillers and blenders, let them come up with a taste. And I thought, well, I don't know that you have to be young to make young people whiskey. There's a great Corb Lund song, I like old men making my whiskey. And I kind of thought that's what the answer was. But as you would imagine, John Teeling proved us wrong. And we came up with a great whiskey that for us sits as that one step above the entry level of Jameson's, Bushmills, again,
Right.
great brands. But when you're taking that first step up, we serve a lot of this in our pubs.
So this is a 43%
Yeah.
ABV. What type of cask is used?
It's initially aged. It's about 4 years old. Again, no age statement on there. But it's initially aged in a virgin American oak cask for the 3 mandatory years to become Irish whiskey. And then it goes into a Chablis cask for its last maturation, however long that takes to get the flavor profile that we're looking for. So that's kind of our second expression that we came to market with.
And okay, so we had the Dapper, and then
now we're going to go
these are
to
all. Just as a reminder, these are all single malt. So I want to
yes.
remind everyone these are all single.
No, those two are both blends. The 10-year-old and the Dapper are blends.
Oh yeah, they are blends of Irish. This
They're
is
blends
the
of Irish, correct?
Yeah, it's a single.
But the next one you're going to talk about, I think, is as I say, both rare and unique. It's rare in that it's a single malt. A lot of folks have come out with some Irish single malts, but not many. There's not a great volume of them. And at my last
single pot, a lot of single pot and a lot of blended. Yeah.
And at my last count, we were the only ones who finished it in a apple cider cask. So when you think of a hard apple cider, mostly from the north of Ireland, either Northern Ireland or the northern counties, and you'll notice it's the green label kind of hints at the apple in there. So we wanted something different. When we talked flavor profiles, we wanted a single malt. We knew that would make us stand out. And our really 2 options were to do a stout cask, but we felt like others were doing that. I mean, stout's certainly a very Irish flavor. Or we could go with the cider cask, and nobody was doing that.
Yeah.
So we've done that. That has, as you gave the anecdotes of the parties you go to, that's the favorite at Thanksgiving and Christmas time around here. It's a great seasonal drink.
It's different.
Yeah, it's going to be like nothing you've tasted before, I think.
It's wow. And for people asking, this will be the trifecta. This will be the Dapper, the 10-year, and the cider.
And if you line the bottles up the way you just showed them there, Jack, it's an accident of marketing, but the label colors are green, white, and gold. So it's the colors of the American flag. If you reverse them, it's your neighbor. It's the Ivory Coast. So we don't want
to. Yeah. That's true. That is true. Wow. It's the only way I'll describe it is I walking into an orchard on a very, very, very hot day. When you see those ripe apples and almost to the point where the bugs are already getting into it, very ripe and whatnot, is whoa. There's this candies that when we were kids,
the Jolly Rancher. Yeah.
Jolly Rancher. You are reading my, you know what? I just need to have you as my mind translator.
There you go.
Apple Jolly Rancher on the nose. If I didn't know any better, if I was reviewing this, I'm sure you have given me a call and say, Jack, I promise we didn't put any artificial flavor in this.
That's
because
exactly right.
that
Ours is,
Jolly Rancher apple thing is like boom in your face.
I think it's bold
Very
on the nose, and when you taste it, I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a lot more subtle. And but that's a great point. We every bit of that apple nose and taste is coming from the cider cask that it drew from. There are no artificial gummy drops that we put in there at the last minute.
slancha.
Slancha.
Oh, I'm gonna need to spend time with you. It, it's hard to describe. It is the hardest thing to describe because if you had a fresh, juicy apple and you dash some clove on it and you take that bite, that is what it feels like. It's like a fresh, juicy apple that you just, yeah, the nose and the taste not the same.
No.
Nose, is orchard apple, but the taste is mellow. It is solid. It is a little even oily in the mouth where you feel, yeah, this is more. I had a long day and I need something to actually drink while I'm thinking about my day. I have to tell you, Brian, more people need to try your whiskey.
Well, we hope to make that happen.
Yeah, more people need to try your whiskey. I don't think you've gotten a fair shake in the market. I don't believe so because this whiskey right here is, and we're talking 18 days of trying different whiskey,
Right.
and there's not a lot that actually got me. But every whiskey kind of resemble the other one with a little slight distinction. This is very particular on its own, and I don't know if there's a lot of cider cask being used in Ireland, but more people need to use it.
Well, there aren't many. We hope nobody else does it for all the right reasons. And there could come a point in the near future, not immediate future, where this becomes a limited edition, limited um, cask because they are running out of cider cask.
I
At
can I
times they're
can
hard to source. The hard ciders are very popular in Ireland right now, as the rest of the world too. So
I will tell you what, Brian, you are for anybody here, you have to understand. If you like Irish whiskey and you don't own this bottle, I feel sorry for you. I really feel sorry for you. This need to be in your collection of Irish whiskey you needs to own. And when I do my recap at the end of this 30 days, there are some brands I'm gonna highlight that was quite wow by. And this right here for $59, you're getting a 10-year Irish whiskey. Knowing the market of how Irish whiskey changed, we're not gonna call name Blue Dot. We're not gonna knowing how the prices have drastically changed through the year. For you to stay at this price point, it's it's first. I'm sure you're not making any money, but I'm telling you now, more people need to run and grab this bottle and start telling people about it. And I'll make it a mission to make sure that more people try this whiskey because I am. It's like I said, this is an old friend. This is an old friend of mine, and he's never gonna leave my side. This is actually something new for people that truly want to explore in Irish exploration. Now let's talk about distribution. You have these three expression, they are on the market. Where can people find your whiskey?
well, we are growing rapidly through a partnership with a new importer that is working through distribution in some of the states where we're not currently. So let's start with the easy button.
Yeah,
We are available online through
and
direct to consumer.
I'm
Um,
gonna share this right now so people see as we are talking where they can go. Um, Two things to keep in mind. First one to keep in mind is you. I want to make sure that you guys know about where to go. So it's Kinnitty Castle Spirits.com. That's where you need to go. If you go there, easy breezy, beautiful. You just have to go to the shop. To the shop, you have the spirit. To the spirit, you know exactly what you want to get right here. Prices are right in front of you.
Yep. And we have great, we can currently source to direct to consumer to any state that allows it.
Mm,
So every day that changes, but that's something like 48 states
correct.
allow that now. Um, and we're pretty happy with our partner in that and our responsiveness. And, you know, when we've had some hiccups like every startup does, we've addressed them quickly, I think, and to most customers' satisfaction. There's also some nice merchandise on the website as well.
Right.
We are pushing for more aggressive and traditional distribution in some key states. And why they're key is because they're where our partners are leading us. They're where there's a great Irish population, and it's also where my partners slash fellow brand ambassadors can do boots on the ground, and as owners really stand behind the brand.
Right. Right.
So Florida is first and foremost among that. That's our home base. Then I would say the very close second is the New England area. We're in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York. So if your local doesn't carry it, ask for it.
And
And
I'm
they
gonna you don't pass that. I want to remind everybody this what he said is very important.
you
Regardless
know,
of where you are in the United States, if you try a whiskey and you like it, start bugging your bartender, start bugging your retailer, start bugging, have your retailer start bugging your distributor and say, hey, we love this whiskey, we're buying it. And especially if you poured it and you want it in your bar, start asking, because that make Brian works. And every time Brian works, that's how you're supporting his brand, by forcing him or forcing the distributor to reach out to him and say, hey, we're tired of hearing people talking about your whiskey. Can we have it with us here on our side of town? So that's the only way you support a brand.
Yeah, I appreciate that bump, Jack, and it's true. And I don't know a good liquor store that when one or two customers says I want it, they want to at least order you one bottle, and then we'll build from there. You know, liquor to lips is our mantra. So New England, New York, certainly, as I said, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee.
Somebody
Uh,
want to know if they can get in West Palm Beach.
yes, you can get it in West Palm Beach.
Yes,
Absolutely,
okay.
and there's a few liquor stores down there that carry it. I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head, and I can't right now. We think we'll have some of the national distribution or at least regional chains in place pretty soon.
We
Uh,
need to get you into a Total Wine.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're having those meetings as we speak. And then for my fellow veterans that are listening, we're they'll appreciate this more than most. It's not always easy to do business with our federal government, and
Hmm.
certainly the package stores on base. There's a very rigid process to go through. But in all cases where we have a population of friends, ex-Rangers, because we have the Ranger partner,
Hmm.
those kinds of things, they tend to go into the base liquor store and drive demand. To your point earlier, Jack, and that's been very successful. Uh, the base stores love to serve the veterans that they serve, and if you ask for it, they'll special order it by the case. So that will help the brand as well.
You heard the man. You heard the man. If you're a veteran, want to support other veteran in their business, go and ask for this. Go and say, Kinnitty Castle, I want it. I promise you. I hope you guys trust my palate to know that I'll never bullshit you when it comes to good whiskey. I had one, finished it, bought one, finished it. That's how much I actually it goes. I'm telling you, you talking about Irish whiskey and ginger ale, making yourself a small highball. The sherry cask that is used here make this highball game all the way. I used literally um, honey, lime, 2 ounces of this, and raise it up with some Tapo Chico. That's it, and I'm in heaven. Just every now and then, I can slap a couple mint and put it on top,
Mhm.
but I'm in heaven. So that for me, I put this whiskey to the test.
Well,
So
I'm confident it stands up, and I'm glad you think so as well. If your folks try it, um, they can reach out to us through the websites that you're putting down at the bottom and say, where can I get more? Want to learn
Correct.
about your story.
It was
If you
this
have
man actually is part of the West Palm Beach Bourbon Society, so they're
okay,
checking in
great.
and they'll
Yeah.
make sure that they will get
Uh,
one. So that's important. I think for all of you guys here, I know a few podcasts are passing on Instagram. Make sure you reach out to Kinnitty, have them on, have Brian on, make him work. He's bored where he at. He just go to the bar and try to do 1 2 step. Make him work. Make him talk about the whiskey. Make people actually understand that this is truly something that people need to try. And me, I always say price versus quality. And for me, when those things match, those are the brand I want to support. You are not trying to gouge anybody for the quality of whiskey you're bringing in. It's fair. I think most people do. So if you're here and you're hearing me, make sure you reach out to Kenichi. Tell them we want to have you on. We want to talk to you. If you live, especially in that Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, all area, Texas, yeah, we need you in Texas. We
we're in
want you.
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and make sure that we have you on to actually do this. So I can't wait. I can't wait. I hope more of you that are listening, make sure you reach out, make sure you invite them, and so they can be on because it's one of my favorite whiskeys. And now hearing even the story is more appealing to me. I can appreciate hard work, hard solid work that you put in. Um, even though I've been raving this whole time about the whiskey and what you have out there, if there is one thing you want to tell the audience, how can they support you? How can they make Kinnitty Castle better? What would you?
Well, asking for it by name at your local bars, restaurants in Florida for our West Palm guy, as an example, Bonefish Grill has just taken us in. They're doing some menu selections with us. So those kinds of things build momentum, and they allow us then to give back to the veteran community through the whiskey brand, through telling our story on uh, venues like this. And if there's any veterans out there listening and you're looking to get involved with the project and want to learn more about being an entrepreneur outside of the defense space, which can be a challenge sometimes, certainly reach out to me through this website and I'll point you in some directions. And it's a great industry to be in. We're friends rather, with some bourbon veteran companies. Our good friends at Horse Soldiers right across the bay from us.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're literally good friends that we serve together side by side. So we're all rowing the boat together. If there's any questions you guys have, feel free to reach out. And we have owners, partners that are advocates. And if you have, as a whiskey club, you have events, and it makes sense for us to come support them in person, we're happy to do that as well. As Jack said, put us to work.
We'll put them to work. So again, the website is displaying at the bottom. So we can have this show here and talk about your whiskey without you giving us the word of the day for people that are gonna watch this show on YouTube and on Facebook later. Every day we have a magic word of the day for people to know what they need to fill out the 30 days of Irish whiskey because some brands were gracious enough to give us merch for us to be able to give to the folks. We'll do a big drawing at the end of the month. So if there is any merch available, we'll be more than happy to get them. We have hat, t-shirt, flask to give out to folks so people can actually follow along, listen to the interview. So that's what I always ask it at the end of the interview. So they have to watch all the way till the end before they know what is happening. So you get to decide what is the magic word of the day.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a very short story for the word that I selected because it's, I
Okay.
think, sums up my journey and the journey of this brand. As I alluded to, Irish Americans represent a huge part of our veteran history in America. Over 50% of all Medal of Honor recipients are Irish or of Irish descent. That's higher than any other ethnic group. We had the great pleasure at the castle to dedicate a room a few years ago to Navy SEAL Michael Murphy, who earned the Medal of Honor and was celebrated in the film Lone Survivor. We flew Michael's parents over and his family and his teammates, and we had a really good weekend remembering Michael at the castle and named one of the rooms after Michael at the castle. And I think that really embodies the spirit that we're bringing to this brand. Irish veterans doing really cool things with a quality product. So therefore, the word of the day I select is Murphy.
Murphy. The word of the day is Murphy. All right. I will. I'm gonna hope I spell it right. And yeah, word of the day will be Murphy. Murphy, I hope. Um, thank you for your dedication, service. Thank you for all you do for fellow veterans. Thank you for taking your time and coming today, talking about the brand and making sure that we know about it. You will not be forgotten. This is now your home. If you ever have any new expression, any news that need to come on, don't hesitate to reach out. Make sure we spread this news around and tell people more about what you're doing and what you're doing different on the market and what is coming down the pipeline. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully we'll see you the next time. Remember, for all of you guys, if you're watching the recast, go on kinnittycastle.com, go to your bar, go to your retailer, ask them to actually have Kinnitty for you, and that's how you support the brand. Till next time, like they say in Ireland,